Hey, things must be getting back to normal in the video game world because we've seen a wonderful, wonderful increase in the most bizarre hot takes that anyone could imagine. Now, after weeks of cyberbullying by all of you, I finally purchased Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm having fun. To me, I'm not going to say that it's the best game I've ever played, but I will say it's an excellent time waster to just kind of relax at the end of the day for a half an hour before going to bed. I do enjoy that part of it, although I've only got maybe 10 hours into it, and every time I log in, it's nighttime, and that's starting to get depressing for me. But nonetheless, GameSpot has put out an excellent article today talking about, well, video games, obviously. The headline reads, Animal Crossing New Horizons has added more inclusive character creation options, but it's a small step forward for representation. It's never enough. It's never enough. We've reached the point now where video game characters should all be like purple or neon yellow. Well, it'd have to be like purple or blue maybe. No actual realistic colors because it will never be enough. We can see some of the replies. Man, what a spicy take on a game made for 7-year-olds. Woo, they definitely care. It's a fantasy game with talking animal neighbors where you make thousands of dollars in its in-game currency by selling turnips. If you're seeking, quote, representation beyond skin tone and hairstyle choices in Animal Crossing, you need to seek help. As a fat half ginger, I don't feel represented in a video game. This is the same article written over and over and over again, except, I haven't seen that many kind of woke articles on GameSpot. I suppose Kelly Plague works there, so she's had a couple of kind of mediocre to bad takes in the past, but here we have Animal Crossing. In Animal Crossing New Horizons added more stuff, sure. Self-expression is the core element of Animal Crossing. It's a feature embedded in every aspect of the game. You choose the color and style of your clothes and the location of your architecture for your dream house. And since there's no pressing time constraints like other social simulators, you even choose what you do all day, every day. It's a time about freedom. So I was so incredibly excited when I picked it up, but that feeling dwindled fast. Imagine having video games ruined by having main characters not look like you. There are no options to have black skin color or any black hairstyles. What's a black hairstyle? An afro? I mean, I know that sounds insensitive, but what else is uniquely black that isn't seen in anywhere else? I've definitely seen white people with fros, but I mean, cornrows, maybe? Is cornrows still a thing? I mean, I also seen white people wear cornrows too. So I don't know. I don't know what's actually allowed to be called a black hairstyle. Most of the black folks I know, at least the men, have their heads like buzz cut. A game all about freedom and customization refused to let me be me. It refused. It didn't just have the option. It said no. You can't look exactly like your real world self. It was beyond alienating. Out of all the things that could have been excluded, why those? I headed straight online to complain about it. Oh, what a horrible life to live. What a horrible, horrible life to live. I had to straight online to figure out if I had missed an option, but they hadn't. That's just how it was. The wackiest part of the options for darker skin tones were in the game, but you couldn't access them from the start. The only way you could make your skin darker was through a convoluted temporary tanning mechanic that had to be used in-game day between July 16th and September 15th, summertime. Many forum post titles like, "Can I be black in this game? So can your character have dark skin?" popped up as others wondered at the lack of skin tones. The audience was quite vocal, but Nintendo never responded to anyone's comments, acknowledged the issue, or made a public statement about it. Good. Good. Now, I will say, it is my opinion that if you're going to have a character creation thing, obviously you should have dark skin tones. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why would you if you're going to have the options, then how much extra work is it to just give them that option? But I didn't develop the game. I don't know who needs to hear this, but black people play video games. What? I didn't know that. I definitely never played any black folks in NBA 2K or in Madden. They were definitely not. Oh, this is shocking news to me. I am both shocked and appalled. Black people are killing it in the gaming cosplay scene. Non-binary legends like Sonic Fox, yeah, one of the most toxic personalities online, but yes, he is black, has nothing to do with that, continue to rinse people in competitive fighting world, and game groups like Black Girl Gamers have formed to help showcase black women in gaming. Racial representation in games isn't a topic that gets studied frequently. Literally, what? It gets studied all the time. It's literally on a mainstream gaming website right now. There was a study in 2015. Oh, okay. Maybe they mean legitimate studies. Reasonable. Okay, that's reasonable. Study in 2015, Pew Research Center that takes a look at the people behind the controller. One key thing is they found that 83% of black teens play games, while 71% of white teens play games. Again, who cares? Of course black folks play video games. No idiot doesn't think that's the case. Animal Crossing New Horizons finally gives players the blackness for the first time in the main Animal Crossing game. There's a wide variety of skin tones and hair types selectable for the first time. It's really rare for me to see a hairstyle in the game. But when I created my villager, he had the same cut, and the little dude almost pulled it off as well as me. My villager can now be me, and I love that. But it took too darn long. Oh, they gave me what I want, but they didn't give it to me fast enough. It's hard for me to even praise Nintendo for including it now when I and so many others needed it years ago. Well, what were they supposed to do? Jump in a time machine and do that? Would that have pleased you? Or would you be mad that they didn't use enough POCs in developing the time machine? This is such a ridiculous thing to be upset about. It's a video game. Do you think when I was playing Mario, I was like, I don't have a big plumber mustache. I don't wear overalls. I don't look like Mario. I can't play this. That Paperboy doesn't look like me. I can't play Paperboy. Who thinks like this? The bar for representation feels so dishearteningly low that companies are praised for including content that should have been there from the start. That we celebrate having our hair in a game as a win, or having a black character that isn't a stereotype as something innovative. The studio should have been listening to us years ago. So essentially, what we have in this article by Funky Joseph, is that I want representation in video games. I got representation in video games, but I'm still mad because it's the only setting I have. Representation has been a problem since the beginning of games. Black people have been continuously excluded or only included as a second thought that doesn't even feel thought out or as a punchline, as with Barrett from Final Fantasy VII's awkward attempt at an 80s Mr. T impression. Oh, are we going that road? Are we doing the, we don't like Barrett? We have a main character that's black, but we don't like him because the personality isn't right. I mean, do you have any idea why game developers might not listen to you? I mean, just let's take color out of it, okay? You're developing a product. Let's say you work at a lemonade stand, okay? And every day, thousands of people are coming to your lemonade stand and paying you a nickel a cup for your lemonade. But that same day, 100 people also ask that you carry root beer. And you don't carry root beer, you keep not carrying root beer, but then after a few months, you start carrying root beer. And then when those same customers return and you have root beer, they say, well, it's not the right brand. Do you get me? Do you get why developers might not want to listen when this is how you act? It's remarkable how many black video game characters fall in these categories. Sorry. The early inclusion of black people in games was incredibly cringy, and it's only in recent years that the whole industry has started to move away from the all too common stories about middle-aged white men who are usually dads, and that things have started to improve. 2018 Eurogamer article breaks down the embarrassing way black characters were handled and puts them into two camps of tropes: the scary thug and the funky guy. I mean, okay, but don't you think you could break down white characters into a similarly small group of people? I'm just not sure here. The funky guy, I don't know. I'm trying to think of I mean, what about Detroit being human? What about Grand Theft Auto? Is that Funky or the Thug? He's also the guy you play for the whole game, though. This is confusing. Now, this isn't to say that you couldn't improve on the representation of black folks or the execution of them. I don't know. I don't look at even, let's say, white folks in video games and say, gee, that person's not the correct way of white person that I want. You get what I mean? Like, you play Arthur Morgan or you play, the little guy from Dragon Quest. They're both white, but I'm not like, well, yeah, but he's not the white enough. Or he's a little too cowboy. You just play the game, and you either like the character or you don't. I just don't, skin color never factors into it for me. But, I don't write think pieces for GameSpot as a games urinalist. Supporting black people in games will make sure that these standards for blackness in games is higher. As simple as that. Instead of a bunch of non-black people in games writing room theorizing the proper way a character will use an African-American vernacular English, or non-black artists wondering if black people also have entirely black palms and feet, there should be black people working in the room. Tossing a poorly crafted black character to fill an invisible diversity meter isn't going to cut it anymore. That's right. We want more. Nobody wants any of that. Black people exist. Really? I didn't know that. Black people play. No, that can't be true. I'm still tired. Talking through representation in games is draining and often futile. Well, here's the thing. I mean, why do you think, and this is a genuine question, why do you think there's a problem? Why do you think there isn't a perfect black dude in a video game, or a perfect Asian dude in a video game? Do you think that the representation of Asian characters are bad? Do you think the characterization of white characters are bad? And what if lots of black folks identify with, let's say, the main character from Grand Theft Auto 5, but you don't? Who's to say what is the correct black? This whole argument is absurd to me because it's one person taking a position saying, no, this is how black TM people act. I don't think I've seen or met two black folks that act exactly the same. Could you have more diverse characters? Sure. But the question is, what does that really look like? And can you ever really satisfy everyone, especially when there's so much money in complaining? I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you real soon.